The holidays can bring out the best in us and the absolute worst. One minute you're sipping cocoa, the next you're fantasizing about running away from the dinner table and hiding in your car. I see you. You love your family, but let's be honest, they can drive you crazy. That's why in this episode, I'm giving you tools you can actually use in real time. You'll learn a simple 90-second reset that calms your body, a handful of one-line phrases that stop conflict without escalating it, and a repair strategy you can use afterward so resentment doesn't follow you into the new year. So stay tuned. Hello again. So happy to have you here on the Relationships Made Easy podcast. And here we're going with the holidays. And let me start with this. Why is this episode different? If you followed me for a while, you know I have already covered things like setting intentions, staying grounded, holding your boundaries during the holidays. I have done 7 previous episodes for dealing with the holidays because I do a different one every year around this time. And this is my 8th season, so this is the 8th one. I'll link to all of those at the end of this episode because those are powerful practices. I'm proud of every single other episode I've put out about how to deal with the holidays. I know that they'll help you if this is a hard time of year for you. But, sometimes you can forget to set your intention or your boundary gets steamrolled before you even notice. And you're suddenly in the middle of a heated conversation about politics or your weight or whatever. So that's where this episode comes in. These are your, I'm going to call them your break glass in case of emergency strategies. All right. So think of them as holiday fire extinguisher. They're fast, effective, there when you need them most. So and before we jump into all the tips, my free download today is a holiday conflict cheat sheet where I'm going to list everything I'm about to say. So if you don't want to take notes, simply download the cheat sheet and you'll have one page with all the tools on it. I do that because I love you so much. And as always, a reminder that for every episode I do, I write a corresponding blog post on my website. So you can also go look at that later if you don't want to listen to the whole episode again. And you can take notes from there. You can copy and paste it. You can do whatever you want to do. And all the links and everything else I talk about from the research, everything is there. And if you're watching on YouTube, it's below the video. All right. So let's first talk about the 90-second reset. When you feel your blood pressure rise, your brain is actually shifting gears. Stress activates your amygdala. I talk about your amygdala a lot. It's the part of your brain wired for the fight or flight. And when your amygdala is turned on, it shuts down the rational, thoughtful part of your brain. And that's why you end up, snapping or saying something you regret. I've discussed this a lot on this podcast, so I know you've already gotten tools, but it's also nice to have them here in a new place and laid out in maybe a different way than you've had before. So the fastest way to get back in control is to calm your nervous system. And research shows you can do this in about 90 seconds. So, minute and a half, right? So here's how. 1, you can do a double inhale, where you inhale through your nose, then take a small kind of second sniff at the very top, air at the very top. And then you exhale slowly through your mouth until you're just empty. So, you inhale, and then right at the top, you do one more, and then a long, slow exhale through your mouth. And you do this like 3 to 5 times. I would do it maybe 3 times up to 5. And the research gives this really the very top score in signaling safety to your body and slowing your heart rate. So I would say do that no matter what, all right? The second thing is to name what you feel. You would silently label it. I feel irritated. I feel defensive. I feel overwhelmed. Once again, the research in a huge way shows that doing this simple thing, so naming an emotion, decreases activity in the amygdala and gives you back a sense of control. And again, a reminder not to say I'm anxious, but to say I am feeling anxiety or I'm feeling anxious. You want to separate yourself. We call this self-distancing from the emotion. And I know it's so simple. So you're thinking in your head, really, a double sniff and naming an emotion, Abby? Yes, really. We know that this is everything I give you is backed by research. It's not something that, I thought of last night as I was falling to sleep and thought, oh yeah, let me try that. And these are things I've been using with my clients for years. And I think that's something that separates me from a lot of people, quote unquote, giving advice out there or tips. I work with people and I have for 40 years. I still have clients. I have an active, group of clients I always work with. And I do that because I enjoy it. And also because I feel like that's part of what I'm doing with you, is part of my commitment to you is that I'm sure these things work, at least with a preponderance of people I work with. And I work with people from all around the world, all kinds of different backgrounds and colors and sexual orientations and all kinds of things. So I'm not saying I have, it's so diverse, but it's pretty diverse, and it's been pretty diverse over the years. So it works. Okay. Third thing you can do is orient yourself, and so what you do for that is you look around the room and land your eyes on something neutral, like a picture frame, a salt shaker on a table, your dog. And then you're going to relax your jaw and shoulders. So you just feel yourself putting your shoulders down, feel your jaw. I often will just open my jaw and close it, almost like I'm yawning, and sometimes that creates a yawn, just to really make sure everything is down. And this research comes from polyvagal theory, and that research has consistently shown that those small cues tell your nervous system, we're safe here. We're safe here. So you would literally just stare at the salt shaker, orient yourself like I'm here in this room. Here's the salt shaker. I'm lowering my shoulders. I'm maybe doing a double inhale, and I'm noticing I feel whatever. And then, okay, I am safe. I am okay. Right? So just those three things will completely change the game for you. If you stop listening now, I'm telling you, if you do those three things, you will feel different at the Thanksgiving table, or I know Canadians have already had their Thanksgiving by the time this comes out, but, or at the Christmas or Kwanzaa or Diwali or wherever you are doing whatever you're doing. You'll be amazed at how quickly any one of these works. And what I love is no one has to know you're doing it. Maybe the double inhale, they can kind of tell, but not much. So that's like in your moment, again, break glass in case of emergency, 3 things you can do, boom. All right. Already I'm giving you, there you go. Another thing I want to give you are one-line de-escalators. Okay. So once you're calmer, so that's that first piece, is to kind of unhook the amygdala, right? Once you're calmer, you still need words that won't add fuel to the fire of whatever's happening. And this is where really short, direct lines change the game. They save the day. Now, the key is to keep them brief. So no defending, no explaining, no arguing. Just clear statements. I call these gently closing the door. What you're doing is you're making these clear statements to sort of gently close the door on whatever conversation is happening that you don't want to continue. So, and again, a lot of these will be on the cheat sheet, but let's talk about them here. So some you could, here's some you could borrow. That I've used and have my clients use, again, that really work. I like saying something like, I'm not going to debate this today. I'm not going to debate this today. You just say that. I'm not going to debate this today. And then you say, so tell me about your new project, or tell me about how maybe I'm talking to my brother and he's driving me crazy. I'm like, I'm not going to debate this with you today. Tell me how my niece is doing. The key is to deflect to something you do want to talk about. When you just say, I'm not debating this today with you, and especially in that tone, then the other you're going to be in an argument. When you say it differently like that, hey, I'm not going to debate this with you today. And then, I would love to hear though how my niece is doing. You just, boom. And that's the key to any of these. I don't discuss my body or food. Again, then change the subject. I don't discuss my body or food, but I'd love to hear about what's exciting you in your life right now, what you're excited about in your life right now. See? Another thing I've said or had clients say is I want to enjoy you and I'm getting heated. So I'm going to step outside for a minute, right? Like there's one, I hear you care, but I'm going to make my own call on this. And then again, change the subject. I'm not available for that topic, then change the subject. Do you see all these? And you know, because I've said it before, if you've been listening to me for a while, my absolute bar none favorite of all time, and the one I use the most is, if I'm in that conversation that I don't want to stay in, I say, there are so many things I'm excited to talk about with you, and this isn't one of them. But I would love to hear about how your softball team did last week, but I would love to hear about, again, how your work is going. But I would love to hear about what you did last weekend. Have that at the, you know these people, so you know what they've been doing and what they're excited about. Or if you don't know the person, again, come up with something else, right? But you've got to change the topic to something you do want to discuss. Or you can say, there's a lot of things I'm excited to talk to you about, and this isn't one of them, but I would love to talk about my podcast. I don't know if you know, I've been doing this podcast. You know what I mean? So however that is, whether you ask them a question after or whether you talk about something for yourself after, that's the way to go. I've shared before that I used to keep and I still do sometimes, depending on whoever I'm talking to. But I had as many of you know, had a very difficult relationship with my mom. But I was trying, I wanted to keep our relationship going. There was just a lot of stuff I did not want to discuss with her because it would become weaponized later, I say with love. So I was careful. And so things would come up during the course of my life. And I'd be like, oh, that's a great thing to talk to my mom about, because it was something that felt more innocuous, something I wasn't worried we were going to, she was going to weaponize against me or use against me in some way. So some win would happen or something would happen with my kids or the dog or, life, or I would hear some bit of maybe interesting news about a celebrity she liked or something, or some food she liked or a great meal I'd had. We're Jews. We love to talk about food, something. And I would write it down. I can even remember eating at this Ethiopian restaurant once. And I thought, oh my God, this is a great thing to talk to my mom about, because it was a rich experience eating Ethiopian food, right? If you haven't had it, run, don't walk. It's so good. But it was such a rich experience. We're sitting on the floor and there's new foods and there's new ways to eat. And so I thought, oh my God, this is such a great conversation. And, it keeps it something that I actually do care about, something that I do want to talk about, that I find interesting, a way to bond with someone when I don't want to give them too much of my personal life, right? Like that I think will get me into some trouble. So again, keep a list, do something so you have things at the ready. These all work when you then dive into, again, what you do want to talk about, okay? You have to have a quick go-to items to jump to. You know what I mean? Your kid doing well in a softball tournament, a talk you just gave that went well, a project you worked on, something you're excited about, like an upcoming vacation or a trip. And again, it's always good to have questions ready for them. Hey, whatever happened with your boss? Again, like, tell me how my niece is doing. These are things that will get you into a new place quickly. They work because they validate at least a little. They set a limit and move you on. They're like conversational potholders. You can handle the hot thing without burning yourself. You know what I mean? I just thought of that. Write that down, someone. Bumper sticker. And if someone keeps pushing, I use what I call the broken record technique. I just keep repeating the same line once more. I just repeat it. I'll say again, like I said, I'm not going to continue to talk about this with you. I'm not going to continue to debate this with you. But again, I really would love to hear about your work or your this or your that. And if they still, refuse to respect that, I let them know. I'm like, you know what? I think this isn't a good time to talk. We'll try another time. That's my other favorite thing. I say, we'll try another time. And then I physically walk away, hang up the phone, disengage and whatever, leave the meeting. I've left a meeting, whatever it is, because you have to, that you can't just, when you wait around is when you get into trouble. Take action. Sometimes the action is what you say. Sometimes it's physically leaving a situation. Okay. All right. Another tip is something I call, or that is called, do I call it this? Is it called this? The 3x3 rule. I don't know. Sometimes, sorry. I've been doing this 40 years. I've been doing and so sometimes I learn things and I can't remember if I learned it or if I made it up, created it myself. Usually I know when I created something myself. So I think I probably heard this somewhere. That's my guess. But we're going to call it the 3x3 rule. So when things get hot, you don't need a complicated strategy. You need something simple to remember, right? So that's where I use this 3x3 rule for people. So what I tell my clients, again, just because you think 3, it's like easy, right? 3 breaths with the double inhale, long exhale. So you do 3 of those, right? And then maybe 3 words to yourself. Whatever those 3 words are, like calm, relax, open, notice, choose, name it, willing, compassion, thoughtfulness, something, mindful, 3 words to yourself. And 3 options for action. You could ask a question. What makes this important to you? You could change locations. Changing locations often works. Hey, let's walk to the kitchen for a refill. Or you could end kindly. Hey, I'm stepping out of this one. I'll see you later. Right? It's a quick formula that keeps you from spiraling into overreaction. So you can think 3x3. These are 3 things that I have at the ready. I'm going to take these 3 breaths. I'm going to, these 3 words are going to help me orient myself, back to mindfulness whenever I'm feeling in trouble. And then these kind of 3 things I might say or do, these 3 actions I might take. All of those work. Okay. Trying to think of what else. I'm like, okay. So now let's talk about repairing, because even with the best resets, the best scripts, sometimes you're going to snap because you're human, right? We all do. I do too, just so we know. Let's be clear. I don't know if I snap. Well, yeah, it's pretty rare. I have created a life for myself where I'm surrounded by amazing people. And, I've practiced what I've preached for a long time. So I've gotten rid of a lot of people who don't kind of serve where I want to be. I don't get myself into conversations to be right I just don't anymore. I used to, I don't, but I'm human too. I snap. I can't remember the last time I did, but I know I have. So the key is what you do after. So let's say you have snapped. What do you do after? If you clean it up quickly, you don't have to carry the resentment into the next year, into January. So, I have a few, to me, there's a simple kind of repair script I use and I tell my clients to use, and you want to use it within 24 hours. That's the key. Do not let things fester. Do not let things wait. So within 24 hours, this could even be later that day or that night or whatever. So something like yesterday got tense and I value our relationship. I felt blank when I felt whatever you felt. I felt anxious, overwhelmed, frustrated, resentful when, and then you say the behavior. It's usually right? When you continued to push, even though I'd asked you to stop. And I shut down. So next time I plan to, and then you make your boundary or request. Next time I plan to, or next time I'd like us to, next time, whatever. And then maybe I'm with, I appreciate you and I value, I appreciate you maybe at the end. So it could something like, okay, so I value our relationship. This happened with a client recently. I value our relationship. I felt cornered when my career became a debate. Next time, I'll change the subject or step away. I appreciate you. There you go. Something like that. And there's research again about this. The research shows that repairs like this are really powerful predictors of long-term relationship health. You know, you're not apologizing for having a boundary. You're showing that you care about the connection and want to keep it strong. And that's why I think it works. It's also helpful to have some what I call micro agreements before the holidays. So if you want to cut conflict off at the pass, set a small agreement ahead of time with your partner, your sibling, or whoever you're going to be with. And definitely keep these agreements specific and simple, okay? One of the things I like to do is have kind of a word like pause or something. So you can say, hey, if either of us says pause, we both stop and revisit whatever we're talking about later, okay? Maybe another one could be, hey, no comments about food, weight, or bodies at meals or about my body or whatever. If things hit a 6 out of 10, we agree that we're going to change where we physically are. We know that that's a physically changing where you are generally helps things mood change and you can shift. So those are little micro agreements. And what the micro agreements do is they really they're reducing the ambiguity and they give everyone a safe way out of a conflict. And that's what's especially nice about them. So again, if you lose it, or say the thing you wish you hadn't, again, recovering is really important. So, and I want you to think of a few steps, right? So within 24 hours, again, you want to own only your part. So you might say, snapping didn't help. I'm taking a lap and I'll rejoin you in a few, right? You might say something like that. And then when you come back, though, you want to reset the field. So when you come back, name the new lane you're in, name it. Like, I'm back to enjoy dessert and keep it light, right? No groveling, no blame, just a reset. And when you do those things, it really, again, helps reset the energy. And doing any of these things helps reset the energy. So yeah, I think that's it. So my final thoughts. If you find yourself fantasizing about, shipping your uncle to a deserted island for the weekend or whatever, remember, it's not proof you're a terrible person. I think on some level it's proof you care, right? That you are thinking about this person. You do not need a perfect holiday. You need peaceful enough, right? And these are small tools that will get you there. That's what I'm hoping for. So I do hope you go back and listen to the other episodes, which give you much broader, bigger pieces. I was getting very micro in this one. Definitely come on over and download the holiday conflict cheat sheet. If any of this sounded good to you and maybe you were taking notes, but you realize you missed some things, you can again do that. To be fully transparent, whenever you download anything from me, you will be put on my email list. What does that mean? My email list, all you get is twice a month. There's a love letter. I call it Love Bites that comes out. It's just something. I don't sell anything. I'm not trying to make you do anything. I'm sending something that I hope you will find inspiring. It's like a little story. You read it in a few minutes, or a little trick or a tip. If you like the podcast, you'll love the Love Bites. I mean, that's all I've got to say. There's tens of thousands of people on that list because people really love getting that. If you like it, you're going to get it twice a month, the second and fourth Wednesday of the month. If you don't like it, just unsubscribe. If you do like it and you would like to get it every week, you can pay for that. But it's free otherwise. And no one's going to, you're not going to get 50 emails. You're just going to get twice a month. So I'm being fully transparent. Now, if this is an area, this whole holiday thing that is huge for you, is something where You're like, these are always fraught times. These are times when I relapse if I'm clean and sober. These are times when I get very anxious. These are times when I've had panic attacks, whatever. I'm going to highly suggest that you think about getting my Therapy to Go bundle. I have an online, the One Love Collective, my online community on Substack, which costs $8 a month, where you get all the podcasts with no ads. You get live Q&As with me. You get a community of support. You get all kinds of stuff. And you get these Therapy to Go bundles included in that. So you get four or five, however many podcasts there are a month. You get all of it for free. But if you don't want to make that kind of commitment and spend $8 a month, you can just buy the bundle for $10, just alone, standalone. I think the other's a better deal, but it's totally up to you. And let me tell you what's in that bundle in case you're interested. So the people in my One Love Collective get this included, but the Therapy to Go bundle for this episode includes the Holiday Grounding Toolkit, which are 10 fast techniques to calm your body and mind when, there's family drama. There's a Holiday Boundary Scripts worksheet, so you can learn what to say when family drama, is crossing the line. There's a Holiday Conversation Pivot Guide, which has 25, I call them rescue topics, to help you change the subject without having a lot of drama. There's a Holiday Calm Intentions, right? So how to set the tone before you step into family situations, a bunch of those. And there's a Holiday Repair Script worksheet. So you can, really clear the air without carrying resentment into January. Oh, and there's a journaling prompt. God, I did a lot for this one. There's some journaling prompts for some, how to feel, journal through getting calm and reflective around the holidays. And there's even, I forgot I did one more. There's a Holiday Trigger to Response map. So you can turn your hot buttons into calm choices, like I help you with your triggers. I did all those because I know that the holidays are a really tough time for people. So I gave extra. I usually don't do quite this much in the Therapy to Go bundle, but it seemed like the holidays needed it. So there you have it. That is everything for today. I hope you got a lot of value out of today's episode. Lots of good tips and things you can use. And again, feel free to download anything else that you think will help you. And, you deserve a calm, wonderful holiday. You really do, but it's up to you. You've got to do the work to make that happen. If expecting everyone else to do the work, we both know has not gotten you anywhere. So take responsibility, make the holidays what you want them to be. Know that I love you dearly, and I'm really happy. I just always so grateful that you're here with me. All right. Mwah. Have an amazing week. And hey, I'll talk to you real soon.